All right, super simple today. We're gonna talk 5 things that almost every backpacker is carrying with them that we just simply don't need to be carrying. And we're gonna throw a bit of a twist on it because we're also gonna talk about some gear that we can use in its place. And we're gonna start off with something that I carried for a long time. Like, this took me forever to stop carrying, and it took me a long time to even kind of reduce it and go to a smaller version of it. And that's deodorant. I'm at a point now where I don't carry deodorant at all. I just kind of embrace the stink when I'm out there on trail. But for years, I carried deodorant from the time that I was a teenager up until like my early 30s. I carried deodorant with me on nearly every backpacking trip. Not necessarily a full-size tube like this. I would usually carry one of those smaller travel ones like you get at a gas station. And I even dabbled in carrying a chapstick tube full of deodorant. I melted deodorant down and put it in an empty chapstick tube. So just a couple options out there for you. If you're somebody who feels like you need deodorant out there on trail, you might want to try just melting some in a chapstick tube. It does save quite a bit of weight. My chapstick tube weighs about 1.2 ounces, or you can always just embrace the stink and go without. The second one, I'm really happy I put on the list because I actually needed some to film this video because the mosquitoes are crazy right now in my backyard, and that is bug spray. I've talked previously about how I've switched away from using DEET-based products and gone to a more keratin-based insect repellent, primarily to conserve some of my backpacking gear. DEET is pretty corrosive when it comes to some of these higher end fabrics. But whatever bug spray you do decide to carry, you don't need to carry tubes like this at all anymore. Because in the interest of conserving weight and bulk in our backpack, it's a lot easier to transfer a little bit of bug spray into a smaller tube like this orange guy here. I know it's not a ton of weight savings, but a little tube like this is going to be more than enough to get you through a 3 to 5 day backpacking trip, no problem at all. For number 3, we're going to dive into personal hygiene a little bit because that's an area that we can save a bunch of weight very easily out of our backpack. And we can do that in a bunch of different ways. Like, instead of carrying a full-size tube of toothpaste, we can carry a smaller travel-size tube of toothpaste. This is going to save weight, it's going to save bulk out of our toiletry kit. But we can take it a step further, and my preferred method is carrying these toothpaste tabs by Unpaste. Each of these tabs weighs 0.012 ounces. And one of the big benefits of these is you can count up how many times you're going to be brushing your teeth on a backpacking trip, and you can carry the exact amount of toothpaste tabs for your trip, so you're not carrying any excess by the time you get off trail. Now, this fourth one is not going to involve you needing to buy any gear whatsoever, but if you're interested in any of the gear that I'm talking about in today's video, you will find it in the description box down below. And we're going to talk toilet paper. Now, I am not joining the dark side and going and getting a backcountry bidet. That's just not something I ever see myself doing. But something that I do not do at all is carry a full roll of toilet paper on a backpacking trip anymore. Now, to many of us, this may seem like common sense, but there are so many backpackers out there still carrying a full roll of toilet paper on a backpacking trip. Now, even squished down, when you take a full roll of toilet paper, it doesn't weigh a lot, but it does eat up a bunch of bulk in your backpack. And a significantly better solution is just carrying a smaller roll of toilet paper. And a really easy way to get a smaller roll of toilet paper completely for free is when you're at home. Just wait till your toilet paper in your bathroom gets down to the point where you figure you've got, like, 3 to 4 to 5 or however many wipes you think you're going to take on your upcoming backpacking trip. Steal that roll off the holder and replace it with a fresh roll, and then take that roll that you've just pulled out of your bathroom, toss that in your backpacking kit. And you can even take it a step further like I do and pull the cardboard tube out of the inside. It shaves a little bit of weight and it makes it a little bit more packable. I know it's something really minor, but we're talking weight savings and we may as well go that little extra mile. And number 5 has been probably the most significant for myself when it comes to backpacking gear that I don't carry anymore, and that is tent poles. I'm not saying tent poles because I've exclusively switched to hammock camping. I do primarily sleep in a hammock on most of my backpacking trips now, but I do still take a tent from time to time. There's a lot of areas that I love frequenting that don't necessarily have places for hammocks or don't allow hammocks. And for trips like that, instead of tent poles, I resort to a piece of gear that I'm already carrying, and that is my trekking poles. And when I talk about replacing a tent pole with a trekking pole, obviously I'm talking about making the transition to a trekking pole tent. I'm a firm believer that if you're still sleeping on the ground and you haven't made the transition to a trekking pole tent, you really should. When you think about the weight of your tent, the bulk of the weight is made up by the poles themselves. So when you eliminate the need to carry an additional set of poles and replace it with something you're already carrying and already using, it's just kind of a no-brainer. Like I said, this has been a pretty significant change for myself. I've been able to save almost a pound out of my backpack and gear loadout by making the transition to a trekking pole tent. And if you are looking for more ways to save weight out of your backpack and gear loadout, I've got an entire playlist. And if you check that out right here, I'm sure you'll find a video in there that you will enjoy. And as always, I'm Matty. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.